Perez.
Hello.
And I'm Robin Eifert, and we're Master Gardeners with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Rockland. Today we would like to demonstrate how to make a holiday wreath out of a grapevine wreath. You'll notice that our wreath is slightly larger than the one that you received, but it should work either way. You will want to have clippers, gloves, or scissors, and possibly a hot glue gun if you need it, available. We want to just show you some of the materials that we're going to be using. We have a number of different greens that we'll be using, as well as some dried materials, and then some embellishments. We have some lovely berries, and then bows, as well as some bulbs. And you should feel free, though, to get materials from your own garden, and you can add those to the wreath as well. Marcia is now going to be adding some greens to the wreath. And also, the way that you can add these greens is either you can just try and weave them into the wreath itself. That will work for a lot of them. But then we've also provided you with some floral wire that you can use to wrap around and kind of to tuck back in with the wreath. And so Marcia's going to continue to add. And then after this, we'll do the dried components. Marcia has put on the first layer of greens, but you should feel free to use your imagination. You may only want to have half of the wreath covered in greens. The next step will be to add some additional greens that will give some contrast to it. Some variegated materials, something else to provide a little more contrast. Marcia has added the contrasting greens, so you can see how the wreath is developing, and majority of those we were able to just stick into the wreath, and they are holding well. The next step is to do some of the dried materials. Marcia has a great tip for you with the dried materials, and go ahead.
And that's to use your hairspray and just lightly spray it. It keeps it in better condition. So that's what I did with the hydrangea, dried hydrangea blossom. And now we're going to start adding those into the wreath.
And we also have some larch cones, as well as pine cones, and some beautiful winterberry berries that will add additional contrast to the wreath. And again, you can either stick those in, wire them, or use hot glue.
Now there's a few finishing touches you can add. You can buy the bulbs that have wires at the end, and I'm just going to wire a few in just to add a little flair. And there you go.
finished wreath, again, feel free to use your imagination to make it your wreath. When you're done with the wreath at the end of the season, you can compost all of the materials other than the bulbs and the bows and return it to nature. You can also reuse the wreath, and you could make a wreath out of herbs, or you could do this in the summer with different greens and flowers that you might have available as well. So again, feel free to use your imagination. We appreciate your taking the time with us here, and we will be taking questions shortly.